welcome to my channel. My name is Emmy from Emmy Evolving. I don't know, guys. I've been obnoxious all effing morning, so kind of just, deal with it. I've literally been obnoxious all morning. Not going to stop now. I mean, I've already committed half the day to it. Okay, guys. Man, oh man. I asked what we were going to talk about, and I really feel like soul is just trying to toss me a little bone. You know what I mean? Just like a little snippet. My head just is like it's throbbing and pressure and just under pressure. You guys, I'm so sorry. No, seriously. I'm feeling tremendous amounts of pressure. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that I'm actively writing my book. That's all I can say. That is the only teaser that I could give you. I'm actively writing my book. And so now, having asked what this conversation was going to be about, past life, now present. Past life, now present. It's intense. It's intense. The type of just extreme frequency shifting and extreme whew, 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 whew. It's a lot. It's a lot of energy. And there's a lot that's promised within you allowing that energy to come through, right? There's just so much in there. I mean, do you guys feel the alignment? Because I feel a degree of alignment that I don't know that I've ever felt in my entire life. You know what I mean? Um, it's almost like this sense of everything that you have been waiting for. And I mean everything. Everything that you've been waiting for, it's being pushed. It's being pushed by soul, and it is definitely something that is going to lead to major life events, just like major life events. And you just have to be ready. You have to be ready. The things from the past that were left largely unresolved, because really that's what karma is. Um, when lessons from your soul history are not completed, the light code becomes frozen. It's, karma is not punishment, you guys. It's not. It's miasma. Karma is miasma. It's another word for miasma. And um, that right there, it's just a paused lesson. It's just a paused lesson. Yeah. It is just a paused lesson. So those lessons are being reactivated. Is that what the message is, Mikaela? Ella, 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 A. Michael says, can you just that's exactly what he said. Could you just he's so exasperated with me at this point. Um ow. I hit my hand on the table. He's so exasperated with me at this point because I've just been like bursting with energy and creativity and motivation and all of these other things. Oh, um, do you want to know why? It's because I found some of my inventory. It's a specific crystal. And since it's surfaced from my extensive collection, um it's been really pushing all kind of things along, just like, and I'm just like, yeah, 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 yeah. Just like nonstop, go, 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 go. So yeah, I'm gonna be putting that on my website too. um I just have so much that still needs to be put on the website. I've been saying it for a while already. And I've been slowly working on it. Don't worry, guys. I've been slowly working on it, slowly working on the bracelets being pushed um, onto the website as well. Ooh, I'm liking this. I am. Oh God, is this person still tripping off you? Ah. um. So here's the thing. What you need to focus on, all of these things that are coming forward from um, previous life, this and that, it's kind of serving as the roadmap for how you are going to get through this period. This is an extreme period of just very rapid development, very rapid personal, professional, business, financial, social development, like across the board, if you let it. If you let it. If you do your part to make sure that it happens, rather than like, oh, why? I want, you know, then things can happen from it. For example, I'm doing a project I'm doing a project, and this project is something where it's like, um, I needed to give the individual um, samples of what I had in mind. And, you know, this particular platform that had all the samples, visual samples of what I had in mind, I have multiple accounts there because I have a squirrel brain. So I have multiple accounts there, and I was able to access the specific files, but I didn't realize I was using the wrong account. It was just yet another account that had access to it. It wasn't the actual administrative account, right? So I kept trying to get access to the individual, and then the access is being denied. And it's like, I already tried. And then I was like, you know what? No, that's not an appropriate response. I need to check because I already know I have so many accounts on there. I need to check if I'm logged into the right account, which I wasn't. Dur. A dur. And so I actually logged into the right account. And and then I was able to give access. If I was just like, well, I don't know why you can't access it, nothing would come from that. You are being guided in such a way that you can traverse much more easily all of this upside down cycle that's meant to just be like petty little roadblocks, ways to try and frustrate you to the degree that you give up on whatever it is that you're needing to do. If you don't give up, if you stay focused on the task at hand, you know what happens? You enter into a state of prosperity. This is something that's tied to your previous life, past life, now present. Whew, whew, whew. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Attempt to see how dedicated you are. Dedication in reverse. For those of you who are not super dedicated to whatever your process is, um, enough inconveniences and you're just going to give up. Has anything good ever come from you giving up? I mean, yes, at some point, if you keep trying to achieve something that's not aligned with what you actually are supposed to be doing, yeah, there's going to be roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. But is that what this is? Where you're just refusing to accept the message from soul that you're not supposed to be doing this thing that you're trying to force to happen? Or is it a thing of you just don't want to deal with the inconvenience? You're being told to do this, but you don't want to deal with the inconvenience. And so now, oh, I don't want to. Okay, well, then don't. It's not that serious. Actually, it is serious. It is serious. But I mean, I don't know. If you want to throw it away, you can. I wouldn't recommend you throw it away because this is the start of the next part of your life. It's up to you how you want to go about it though. Okay. Um Here's the thing. Sometimes I will give the information your higher self wants you to utilize, right? I can see the different types of potentiality that's being loaded for you. I can see how this could potentially play out at the highest degree. And then, oh, shifting. I can feel it. And then I also see this is much more common than we'd like to admit, but I also see how some people will be very quick to give up. They don't want to have the inconvenience of following all of the directions from soul down to the T. And I mean, they get results, but it's mediocre results. And then they're like, see, I guess it really wasn't for me. I guess you were wrong. And that's fine. I have no problem with people thinking that I'm wrong. I don't need to be right. I'm simply sharing information. So is that what's happening here? Where the potential is being loaded for you, and because it carries with it some stigmas that stem back to previous life existences, lives that you don't remember. And then you're kind of like, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with this. And so you're going to push it away. I mean, you could. You have two options. You could either banish this from your presence or you can initiate the change, right? Those are your choices: banishment or initiation. Banishment or initiation. I don't know what the potentials you're working with are, but it's kind of like this thing of, are you willing to find out? Are you willing to kind of go through part of the process to see if it's something that you would want long term? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Is this something that just needs to really, really be? I mean, what is it? First and foremost, what is it to you? First and foremost. I think maybe that's the problem. I think maybe that is the actual problem. You don't know what this is for you. If you don't know what this is for you, then there's a high likelihood that you don't know how sacred this is and how important it is for you to follow through for yourself, quite possibly for the first time in your life. Are you willing to invest in yourself? Are you? Are you willing to do everything that needs to be done? Because there's certain things that could happen. I'm looking at my life and I'm remembering the title, Past Life, Now Present. And I'm looking at the last year or so, maybe even 2 years of my life. And it was this thing where there was a very intense situation that had gone on for several years, and I didn't want to address it. I just kept ignoring it. Eventually, they'll get bored, they'll stop, they'll this, they'll that. Every single little type of reasoning that I could think of to avoid processing and taking action, appropriate action. And then it finally got to a point where it was like, um, this is not going to stop until I make it stop. And at first, I thought because of the extensive, I'm talking about terabytes, extensive amount of evidence, extensive amount of time stamped files, just proof after proof after proof after proof of criminal activity directed at me, that this would be an open and closed thing. And then I would just move on with my life, and it would, it would just be maybe a couple months and I could deal with that. And it dragged on and dragged on and dragged on. And then I think it was maybe about a year and a half later, after all of that circumstance was initiated, um, there was a potentiality for it to come to a conclusion. There were criminal charges that were filed in my favor. They were, in this situation, they were found guilty of committing crimes against me. Um, Good. That's just. Okay. There was nothing that was made up. All of that was factual. There was no hearsay. All of that came from that specific individual directly. There was no question. And then it was this conversation that was had where it was like, we just leave this alone. Okay. The conviction is there. We'll leave this alone. And I was like, no, I know I've already spent a fucking ridiculous amount of money on this. Old me would have said, okay, that's good. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it already. But the matured me, the fortified me, knew that wasn't it. That if I didn't pursue this all the way to the very end, this patterning that was established probably at some point before this life, because it's my opinion that demonics were involved. It's my opinion, both personal and professional opinion, that demonics were involved in that. And it was something that was extending from a previous form that I had, a previous life. And so I had to make the decision whether or not I would, for the first time in my life, fully invest in myself. And that opened the pathway for something else. Because as that began to resolve, and I hate to be so like vague, um, as that began to resolve, individuals still tried to continue some stupid bullshit. And as a matter of fact, the legalities of that situation is still ongoing. I am still spending on that. That's fine. That's fine. That was the precursor for another round of past life, now present. Because as that began to resolve, And it's still in the process. It's not completely done. But what it did do was have me consciously fully commit to a process that was initiated on my behalf, an internal process that helps me to learn and see what I actually deserve. It's so easy for us to verbalize our logical perception that we deserve more than that, right? We don't deserve that. We deserve more than that. Whatever it is that we think about ourselves and our personal circumstance. But emotionally, does that match? Because typically, emotionally, what we are feeling and what we believe, it does not match what we are logically coming to the conclusion of. So in that circumstance, the two, emotion and logic, they became aligned, moving forward together. And I'm like, okay, yes, okay. And then another circumstance was initiated. This other circumstance that was initiated was something that also ties back to a past life now present. Yet again, another individual outside of myself allowed to cross my path. And that individual tried to be so front and center, very prominent in their attempt to be publicly connected to me. And I could sense something. I could sense something. I could sense the potentiality of where this is headed. It was not good. But you know me, Pisces to the core. And it was, again, I returned back to a mindset momentarily of maybe I could love you into wholeness. Maybe allowing you to be present, allowing you to be bathed in my energy, in my attention, will give you the opportunity to heal these blatantly toxic parts of you. And I don't know, maybe sometimes the way I communicate, like for me, I feel as though I would never say anything just to make you feel better. Like it would need to be rooted in truth. It would need to be actual, right? As a matter of fact, sometimes I feel like I could be downright mean when I communicate these things. So that's how I saw it. Because there would be times where I would communicate something. I would try to say it nice so that it didn't come off so abrasive, and hopefully they'd be able to receive it. But I kept warning, got to be careful. Yeah, you're at risk. You're at risk. You got to be careful. You got to be careful. You got to be careful. And in one ear, out the other. Straight ego. It was an ego tube that I was dealing with. And then I became aware of certain past life details. I shared the portion that their higher self allowed me to share, which was like a 3-second snippet of a 4 fucking hour past life movie. And their soul instructed me this way because I asked, that's like, dude, this is a lot of information that's being withheld. And their soul let me know they are being put in a position where they can choose differently than they did in the last life. Okay, I get that. I'm not going to fuck up your whole process. I'll do exactly what you said. I will share only what you asked me to share. Past life, now present. Well, that shit blew up. It blew up. It blew up. Well, I think the more accurate description would be that it imploded. They intended for it, and this is my assumption, of course. I believe that person intended for it to implode my world. No, bitch, I clocked you at day one. Turns out I'm a lot nicer than what I give myself credit for. Because I clocked that wicked shit from day one. That wickedness that lived in them, that still lives in them, of course. I clocked it from day one. So that previous circumstance that involved legalities, that again, it's still ongoing. I'm not in any rush. Just let it do what it needs to do. So then this is a second circumstance now, right? Again, past life, now present. Mm. What did I learn from that first circumstance? That I will never again allow anyone to do any of that fuck shit to me ever again. Ever again. So as things unfold, what happens? I establish boundaries. I follow established protocol. And then as it continues, I take the appropriate steps. I do not wait. I do not let it marinate. I do not any of that. This is not something I'm excited to do. This is something I know in my heart must be done in the way that it is being done. And wouldn't you know, past life, now present, a completely separate individual who is so near and dear to my heart. Before the implosion of that second event, again connected to a past life, left unresolved. This third person lets me know, Emmy, you need to know about this person. I was like, oh, for what? For what? And they give me the info. And I look them up and I'm like, oh, I know you. I know you. I know your face. I know your energy. And wouldn't you know, that was a very individual I needed to involve for the second circumstance. The second circumstance created ripples, ripples to repeat a past life now present, except this time, fuck all those motherfucking bitches. I will not allow. I'm going to mind my own business and I'm going to stay in my lane. You start swerving into my lane. Get the visual of a big rig with the wheels that have rims that have like those little tactical spikes. Yeah, your vehicle will absolutely be wrecked if you try and sideswipe me. It will. I'm gonna stay in my lane. I'm carrying a very heavy load and I'm driving very solid, very steady down my path. Past life, now present. You know what this means? The way I move in my current life, current existence, current business. It's highly indicative of something. What? That I'm now actively healing the wounds from my previous lives. I'm healing enough that I can actually take a look at the very fine details of how everything happened. You know, as I was sifting through those memories, so fucking profound. I have such an intimate knowledge of how stargates work. It involves planetary positioning. It involves constellations. It involves etheric travel tunnels. And there are so many different factors I finally understood about 15 minutes before this live stream started why I ended in a subterranean chamber rather than on the surface of the land. Why was I underground? In the commotion, we didn't factor in that it was a solstice. That alters the calibration mildly. And that alteration in the calibration, that miscalibration, if we want to be accurate, it projects you into another time space several feet below. Luckily, I know about hypercubes too. Displacing matter is very easy. I can't wait to share with all of you all the things that I remember. It's a lot. It's a lot. And the things that I remember, if you ever get super curious, when the time comes to release this information very publicly, if you ever get super curious, you go over the fine details of the things that I share. It will absolutely corroborate with a hypothesis of big names in certain fields. It goes hand in hand. I'm no longer going to pretend that I don't remember what I remember. As I do that, as I step into this balanced state, no longer pushing away aspects of my previous existences, my previous lives, my memory of those experiences. As I stop concealing, I stop hiding the true gravity of my nature, which all of us have a gravity. You know what happens? It's a very natural, very synergistic thing that occurs. You begin to converge all the lifetimes. Every single one that you embrace and allow yourself to remember, if you are ready. If you are ready. You know what happens? That convergence allows you to access the most highly developed skill sets from the life you're embracing. These lives that I'm currently processing, to say they were profound. To call that statement an understatement. I'm just like, girl, this is a whole ass movie. This is a whole ass movie that I'm seeing here. Like, but I have to categorize everything. I have to lay everything out in an organized manner because the way our existence actually works, it's not a linear trajectory. It's a tangled web made of sacred thread, bouncing you from time space to time space to time space, altered form to altered form to altered form. And all of this comes together. And if you are averse to seeing the reality of you and your existence, you will see it as a nasty spider web that needs to be cleared out with a broom. But if you can see the sacred nature of it, it is a beautifully and carefully created design, dripping with magic, like dewdrops on a web as the sun rises. The magical nature of it all. The ability for each dewdrop to refract light in such a way that the web itself begins to appear as though it's something taken from the Devic realm. I mean, I swear I could just sit there for hours not saying a single word, just thinking about the way all of these things interconnect. It's something that a lot of people struggle with. Why? Because of the discernment factor. Many of us have not developed a degree of discernment yet that keeps us inaccessible to those who try and exploit um, our lack of understanding. And our lack of understanding is simply due to our lack of experience. For so many generations, we have been forced into a program where we believe this is the only life we've lived. That program's barely being undone. It's barely being undone. And it's this thing of, if you don't believe in past lives, I completely respect that. But you have to ask yourself this: why are people's children drawn to me? It's not uncommon. If you have a child, a young child, especially a toddler, don't just let them watch my videos because I got a potty mouth. I do. I got a potty mouth. I got a fiery temperament. I'm spicy sometimes. So I don't know that that's appropriate. I mean, it's your call. You're the parent. But take a screenshot of my face. Just a screenshot. Don't explain it to your child. Show your child and be like, do you know her? Most of the children, they'll look at you weird. And they usually say one of several things. The first one is, isn't she our friend? Or, I love her. I remember her. Or they'll look at you like, how do you know? You're not supposed to know this. How do you know? Try it with your kids, see what happens. Don't tell them anything. If they ask who I am, just, oh, just some girl on YouTube. I was just curious. I was just curious. Like, have you seen her before? You know her? See what they say. See what they say. I'm serious. It's not uncommon for other people's children, even young children, to get super excited to watch it. And I'm just like, yo, I don't behave. I don't behave. I need to behave. I need to behave. The babies are watching. It's not uncommon. It is not uncommon. You have to ask yourself why. Because they remember me before this form. Oh, Jackie. Jackie says, my son knows who you are already. Ask your son what he thinks about me. If he thinks I'm an alien. Ask him, if she's not human, what would she be? Right? I'm curious to hear what he says. I love that. Oh, he's definitely welcome to hang around when you do class. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Self reflection, but it's in reverse. So this means you don't want to see yourself. You don't want to see the ways in which you've been hindering your own process. You have been the blockage that you're trying to overcome. Like, um, why is life not working the way it needs to work? What is happening? It's something inside you. It's not about blame, it's about getting to the root causation. Past life, now present. Past life, now present. All those unresolved things from all of your previous existences, especially, primarily, the ones that are still having some karmic bleed over into this life. Um, they're coming front and center. The memories, all of that. You might not remember the whole life. In fact, you might even start to think that you're just having weird dreams. Are they weird dreams? Are they weird dreams? There's this one video. It's on my TikTok channel. What is it? What is the name of the video? Hold on. There is this video. Um, it's called Helping a Viewer Decipher Their Dream, Soul Memories. I'm wearing a beanie. It's this one. Helping a viewer decipher their dreams. That video specifically. They thought they were dreaming. Until they told me the details of their dream. And I was like, that's not a dream. That's a memory. I know exactly what you're talking about because I was present for that type of stuff. Those are part of my memories too, where they would hold a bell and then the wind would blow and then these sounds would come and I'm like, you're witnessing creator naming souls. That's before even physical form. It's like, it's so beautiful, right? And these things are needing to come back. Your past life, now present, is needing to happen because you're in the process of blossoming. And you need these details and these experiences so that you could blossom properly. Yeah, see, beginnings, but it's in reverse. That means this is not the first time this has happened. This is just yet another time that you're experiencing this. This is not the first reset. It's not. It's like, I believe there were like 6 resets before this one that we're currently in. I think there were 6. Like everything in me feels like 6. There were 6. This is now the 7th. And this is the one that will come to full completion. And no, I'm sorry, but it's not intended to be apocalyptic. It's just not. It's not supposed to be apocalyptic. I mean, we can make it pretty nasty for ourselves. We can choose some really messy circumstance, but it doesn't intrinsically need to be embodied in a messy way. We just have to release our fear of the transformation. We're all going through a transformation. We're all going through something that's helping us to get to the next part. And the next part is the launching pad that will fling you, it will yeet you all the way. Um, it's time to get yeeted. It is. It's time for you to stop, like, there was a circumstance. I think it was fake, to be honest. I think it was fake, but it's a lovely sentiment. I saw a video on TikTok, and you guys might have seen it already as well. There were, I think, like 2 guys that were in a vehicle across the street, and it was a busy intersection, a busy street, and they were watching and recording a woman who was by herself. I'm assuming they're trying to imply that she had no idea they were recording her. And she was kind of like leapfrogging. She would carry, because she had 3 car seats. Apparently, she was an alleged single mother with triplets who was in dire need of help. Um, I don't know, something about it feels ingenious, but disingenuous. But here's the scene. She's quickly walking maybe 12 feet with 2 car seats, and then she sets it down near the retainer wall, and then she goes and runs back for a 3rd car seat, and then she runs to where the 2 are, and then, so she keeps doing this all the way down the block, and then eventually these 2 guys are like, we need to help her. And they go, she's turning the corner, and they're like, "Hey, are you okay? Do you need help?" She goes, "No, I'm fine. I'm fine." And she turns away, and she's just kind of like covering the car seats. And the guy gets out of the car, and he's like, "We don't think you're fine. Like, what's happening? Do you need help? Do you have somewhere to go?" And she starts to cry and tells them like she needed to leave. She needed to leave her husband. He has her phone. He took all her money. She doesn't know where to go. And this whole thing, right? And at first I was kind of believing it. Something still felt off, but I was kind of believing it. I was like, oh my God, this poor thing. That's hella bad. Like, I think it was supposed to have taken place in Las Vegas. Las Vegas can get really hot. That's like, that's a bad circumstance if it was true. And the reason I don't think it's true is because I couldn't leave it at that. They were like, we're going to help you. We're going to take you to wherever you need to go or whatever. And for some reason, it skipped to video 3. I don't know if there's a video 2. I don't know. But the next video that I was able to find, because it was a repost, the next video that I was able to find was her putting the kids in the car. You can't see the kids because the car seats are covered. She has like a little blanket. So the first thing that I was like, this is some fake ass shit. I'm a mom of hella fucking kids. I know about car seats. These were the baby carrier type car seats. Tell me why she tries to load the first child forward facing in the second row. It's like a minivan. I was like, what are you doing? I can tell by the base of the car seat. That's just forward facing. You can't do that. And then the second baby, she puts in the front driver's seat, the front passenger seat. Again, facing forward. I was like, are you just trying to get them out of the sun? What's happening here? And then she takes a third car seat and she puts it again in the second row, this time behind the driver. And I'm like, okay, are they just resting? Are they just resting? What's actually happening here? And then she starts to say to the guy, I can't just take your car. And he goes, it's okay because we just happen to have this extra minivan sitting around and you could have it. Shut the fuck up. Stop playing. And it's not because I don't believe that people can be that generous. Because I'm that generous. Shit, I was planning to give the RV that I was living in with nowhere else to go, okay? The RV that I was living in, I was going to give it to a complete stranger because I felt bad for them. Like, I'm that generous. That's why for a little bit I was believing it. But if you allow your discernment to be front and center, like this shit is. How come we never saw the babies? Were those empty car seats? In case the cops came? Secondly, one of the dumbest things you can ever do, and one of the most efficient ways to completely fuck up your entire life, is to just let a complete stranger take a vehicle from you without transferring the title to them. Because you know why? If they go ahead and they drive under the influence and they kill someone on accident, guess what? Vehicle's registered under your name. You're fucked. You weren't present. Don't matter. It don't matter. Did you report it stolen? You're responsible. None of that made sense. None of it made sense. What needs to happen is you need to use your discernment to see where things make sense and where things are simply tugging on your heartstrings, trying to manipulate you because of your previous earlier life experiences from this life. That tugged on me because I know what it feels like to have multiple children in baby carrier car seats. That shit's fucking heavy. You put a child in there, a newborn, it's heavy. Even empty, it's heavy. You put a baby in there that's a couple months old, that shit is heavy. I've lived in Vegas. I've lived in Vegas. I know what that environment is like off the strip. I know what the weather is like. I'm very lucky. I'm not a single mother. But here's the thing, if my husband doesn't work, he doesn't get paid. So for about 10 hours through the day, I'm basically functioning as a single mother. I'm taking care of everything. No nannies, no babysitters, no nothing. It tugged on my heartstrings. It brought me back to a time where I knew exactly what that felt like. You got no one to lean on. And it's not because I was abandoned. It's not because my husband's not supportive. It's because sometimes life is just rough and you make do with what you need to make do with. Your fear of processing what needs to be processed, of not using the discernment that's necessary, right? Because these were in reverse. It's the very thing that will release you, or that will prevent you from releasing the mindset and the emotions that have kept you blocked. Now, did I comment anything about this is some fake shit? No, I was like, yo, don't fucking waste my time and mess with my emotions. I got shit I gotta do. Let me get off this toxic ass app. That's that's how it went down. That's how it went down. For me at least. Because guess what? I am not going to be playing these games with myself. I know exactly why I felt the way I felt. Yeah. Because then it was this thing of, gosh, I'm so thankful I at least had Frey. Like I didn't feel like I could count on anyone else to help me with the kids um while he was at work. So I did everything myself. But as soon as he was off of work, he was so present and so hands-on. And I'm so grateful. Other people's circumstances, not your own. And if you're going to allow other people and their circumstance and what you witness of that to trigger you to the degree that it brings you right back to that space of trauma, that space of breaking down, that space of being frozen by your own fear. I mean, it's one thing to be triggered, brought there, and then exit it. It's a whole nother thing to be triggered, brought there, and stay there. You will not progress through this. And this is a small window of opportunity. Your soul is just going all the way with this. Understand the gravity of what's happening. We've entered into a very finite window of manifestation acceleration. That means your soul will do everything it can to clear everything out that's going to prevent you or slow down your progression through this period. Mark my words. In this small period, you can do enough preemptive type work, primer type work to ensure by this time next year, you'll be a millionaire. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. And some of you might be like, Emmy, that's ugly. That's your goal, to be a millionaire? What's ugly about it? Because money? Have you done something to take money out of the equation? I'm sorry, I might not have gotten the memo. Is money no longer relevant? We could just like get free food and stay in the home you're in for free, and kids clothes, medicines, is that all free now? Because I mean, if it is, and I just didn't get the memo, let me recalibrate and present this message differently. Because if not, then really here's the thing. If I were to allow myself to enter into that specific tax bracket where now I'm actually financially stable to that degree, are you fucking kidding me? Do you know how many sanctuaries would be built? Do you know how many fucking soup kitchens in how many states I would immediately bankroll and open? That's some fucking exciting stuff. That is exciting stuff. Do you know what I would be able to do with that type of seed money and how I could amplify that amount of financial? I'm saying that would be the start of the end. The end of what? The end of this stupid ass system that we're forced to fucking deal with. Fuck all that shit. You need medicine? I'll buy it for you. Who gives a shit? You don't owe me nothing. You need housing? Hold up. Um, Team, can we start a project to build some houses? Rent free. No, I got it. Put it on my tab. All it takes is for people like me and you to reach that level of wealth. And I promise you, a large fucking portion of the bullshit we suffer through no longer exists. Are you kidding me? That's why people like us need to become the rich. I finally get it. I finally fucking get it. I was so busy for so many years focusing on my death grip of remaining in poverty, which I have no problem with that. I'm perfectly fine with a simple life. Shit, I'm happy living in a broken ass RV in a parking lot. Are you kidding me? I still don't own any fancy purses. I don't own any fancy shoes. This was on clearance. So I got all of them. Yeah, on clearance at Walmart. I use it for workouts. I have like, I think 2 or 3 colors. Mhm. Yeah. I was so hell bent for so many years to keep my death grip, my claws just really dug into poverty because I didn't want to leave my people. I'm like, these are my people, which is basically like 99% of us. That I failed to realize. You never affect change by staying in the same circumstance and same environment that has kept you in that suffering that you're trying to escape. The problem was not being in that environment. The problem was the mindset that comes with that environment. Shortchanging yourself, underselling yourself, accepting loss after loss after loss, just so what? You can make it easier for other people to also feel comfortable in poverty. These are choices we make. These are choices that we make. So you allow yourself to achieve a certain degree of success and financial stability. You then can turn around and give back. They just got to be a little bit patient. You got to be a little bit patient. They got to be a little bit patient, right? Someone once told me, because I was giving all my wages away for quite a few years, literally giving it all away. I would keep just enough for my family to be able to afford groceries and gas. Living in a parking lot, you don't have much overhead. You don't. So, someone pulled me aside one day and they're like, Emmy, you keep talking about this sanctuary you want to build. Um, and then you keep giving everything away. And I was like, but people are struggling. They need to be helped. And then this person was like, if they keep needing help with the same thing, then they don't need help. What you're doing is funding their lifestyle. And I was like, Wow. 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 Okay. And then they were like, now you have to look at the bigger picture. Are you here to help one person at a time? Because that's going to take you forever. To help the whole world, one person at a time, that's going to take you forever. Or do you want to let some people be in their circumstance and then you save up what needs to be saved up so that you can actually create these centers that you dream of having? And then you can help many people at one time. And I was like, oh, oh. And they're like, yeah. So clearly I haven't done that yet. I still keep helping people one at a fucking time. It's slowly happening. These things that I'm sharing with you, I'm still actively in the process of learning it and then implementing it 100% across the board of my entire life. This is a process, but you need to start somewhere and you need to start at some point. When are you going to start? Are you going to start now when you're coming to these realizations? Or are you going to continue what you're doing until you're good and pissed about people taking advantage of you, people using you? You're lying to yourself. FYI. They're not taking advantage of you. They're not using you. What's happening is you're inviting these people to do what they're doing. You're finding the very people who have the willingness to do what you do, or not do what you do, to do what you want them to do. For some, it is depleting you emotionally, financially, however way they're depleting you. Because it's not always about money. Sometimes we actively look for and hold on to the very people who are nothing but walking fucking drama. Because our life is peaceful and we're looking for a way to deplete ourselves and be so busy saving someone else that we don't have to work on our own traumas. Right? So you go and look for those people. Some people, I steer clear of them, not because they're bad people, but because I fucking know how this is gonna turn out. I could already tell I'm gonna get so wrapped up in your shit. No, you're not a bad person, but I'm gonna be a bad person around you. I'm gonna go right back into that same space where I would use other people as an excuse so that I could ignore my own needs. Ain't that some shit? Ain't that some shit? You got to have discernment. You got to have discernment. You have to have purity of heart towards yourself first and foremost. And then you have to allow the development of wisdom. You are standing on a stack of life experiences. You know, people say the book of life. Do you know that the book of life has volumes? It's not one book. There's volumes to it. There's volumes. It's not just one book. There's volumes. So you're standing on volumes. It's a whole saga. There was this saga that oh my God. I love I think she even came out with it. Let me see. It's called the Earth Children Saga. Hold on. Earth Children's Saga. How many books you got? There's a new one. Fucking shit. Like, no. These books are so long and I will not stop reading it. Girl, do not buy that book. I want to know what happens. Dang it. It's such a good saga. You don't have time for that. Next year. You don't got time for that anytime soon. Next year. You can get it next Christmas. You can have that. Not this Christmas, next Christmas. By then, everything will be laid out properly, and then you'll have some time to read it before bed every night. Okay, so the wisdom, right? Um, hmm, mm. There's going to be something that's going to trigger you to remember something that you went through a while ago. It might be something you went through in a previous life, might be something you went through just last year. Um, it's not something very recent. I don't feel like it is. If it is something very recent, then whatever it was that happened very recently, that is nothing but a mirror and a reverberation of something that's even older than that, right? So, whatever that is, it's going to trigger a process. And that process is going to get you centered within yourself. You're going to become very, very clear about um, the way these circumstances are connected. And then you're going to exit out of this space of simply survival and self-preservation, because you are so much more than that. You are so much more than that. A lot of the things that we go through and have been sustained, um, the sustained periods of struggle and suffering and depletion and scarcity and all of that, you know, it requires a lot of your consent. It requires you usually to enter into a space of hopelessness and helplessness for those things to continue to persist. We're our own biggest hurdle. We are. This is not about blame. This is about recognizing um, how your consent can do so much to get you to the next part, or do so much to keep you shackled to where you are right now in your space of suffering. The fragments of you that no longer want to be kept separate from you, you need to allow those parts home. Past life, now present. A lot of what you're going through during this period, this small window of opportunity, the things that will trigger you, they're usually rooted in something from your previous life. Yeah. Down to the people who are involved in the circumstance, down to that. You're specialized for this. You're going to do more than just get through this. You're going to actually realize your potential and live up to it. So, potential in reverse. This is telling me it's not just a potential anymore. Your soul wants you to make this your actuality, your reality, your in real life circumstance. That's what it wants. Mm-hmm. You don't need someone else to make this happen. Love it. Ah, sorry. Okay. Let me just. Jesus loves me. Oh, yes, he does. Jesus loves me. Help me behave. Trust yourself. Trust yourself. You need to trust yourself as you go through this process. Okay? Babe, it was never your soul that was punishing you or hurting your feelings. It was always you. The human part of you that felt like you needed to be punished. The human part of you that continued and still continues to betray you and your needs. It's always ever been you. And you could sit there and deny your authority over yourself. You'd be like, no, I couldn't control this person and stop them from doing what they did to me. Yeah, that's true. But absolutely could have controlled whether they had access to you or not. Don't give me that shit. You are in control of your life. That includes the control that you use to give your authority to someone else. Oh, yeah, no, I'm sitting here with attitude. Absolutely. I'm sitting here with attitude, waiting for you to give me another ridiculous excuse as to why you have no power. You have no power because you don't want to have your power. So if I'm offending you, give me a hearty fuck you, Emmy, by taking your power back and be like, no, fuck you. I have my power now. Good. Have it. Good. Have your power. Use it. Use it. Use it. Use it. Remove access to you. These people who are toxic for you and do horrendous things to you, remove their access. Remove their access. I get this visual of a horse, right? I saw this picture years ago and it was profound. A horse, after it's been broken in, I guess that's what they call it, after its spirit has been broken. You can go ahead and take the lead, that like leash that you attach to the halter, and you could just wrap it around a twig. Horse won't move. It won't go anywhere. You know how strong a horse is? A horse's neck alone. So for a short while, um, my father had bought a purebred, as a thoroughbred racehorse. It was literally for racing. And he tried to say that he bought me a horse. Bullshit. But I like horses, though. I would go with him to the ranch. We didn't own the ranch. Relax. I would go with him to the ranch where he had the horse in a stable. And sometimes I would go with him to feed the horse and groom the horse and all of that jazz. And I remember he had spent this money to impregnate her with another thoroughbred. And I was like, oh, we're going to have a baby horse. I was so excited, right? And then he had these friends who were horse trainers because he was running with like an elite group, I guess. I don't know. But he had these friends who were like horse trainers, or they were like ridiculously wealthy and they had these horses in different stables. And one of the horse trainer friends, he was an asshole. I didn't like him very much. Like right from the start, right when I saw him, I was like, oh, right. And so one day he's over there and he's trying to show off. I can read people. He's trying to show off. He's trying to appear knowledgeable regarding horses, which he did know quite a bit. But he then tries to go touch my horse's face, and she's like, no. She went like that, and then she lifted her face really high. Well, he didn't like that. He goes, oh, we need to break her of that. And I was like, she don't like you. In my head, I couldn't say that out loud because that'd be disrespectful. So I was like, she just doesn't like you. Don't touch her. That's why she moved her head, because you're got caca energy. Yeah, she could read people too. She loved me. She really loved me. So what he did, um, he went and he got this leather strap. It was a pretty heavy duty leather strap. And he hooked one end to the chin part of her, I guess it's a halter. And then she also had something across her chest. And then it was attached to the saddle. And so he took that and he attached it to her chin. And then he attached it to her chest, the leather strap across her chest. And he was basically scolding her, letting her know, my horse, letting her know, like, you don't get a say in this. It's like, you can't lift your head. If I want to touch your face, you have to let me. And I was just like, oh, I was so pissed off. Of course, stay silent, right? I was so pissed off. And I'm like, oh, shouldn't be allowed to touch her face if she doesn't like you. Right? My whole life I've been about sovereignty. And it was funny because he felt so like super duper ego inflated, like I controlled this strong beast. And then she looks at me and I look at her and I'm just like, as she lifted her head, snap that shit in half. And I was like, fuck yeah. Yeah. She broke his little leather thing. Ooh, he was so mad. He was so mad. Yeah. He was, and this was right before he was gonna give me riding lessons. So I was supposed to ride her after he done pissed her the fuck off. And because I was gonna ride her, he had this really long whip, like a really long whip, so that he could crack the whip behind her butt. I don't know the terms for these things, but he could crack the whip behind her butt to keep her moving in a circle with me on her. Right? Her name was Majoy's Winner. Me being Majoy's Winner. Um, so he hit her with the whip. Yeah. At which point she reared. She's very strong-willed. Very strong-willed. I did get on her. They put us in the smaller corral and then she tried to take off with me on her like, "Oh fucking shit." Yeah. I almost fell off. And he tried to tell my father it's because she's poorly behaved, not me, but the horse. At which point, once we got in the car, I told my dad, because he's a fucking asshole. I don't want him around my horse. And my dad was like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. I was like, it's not okay. I don't want him around my horse. He's a fucking asshole. And then I remember it was maybe a couple weeks later. It wasn't that long after. I had already told my dad, like, she doesn't like him. I don't like him. I ended up going on a trip with my cousins. They were visiting from out of the country, and we went to Yosemite. So I was gone for like a week. I kept thinking about my horse. I was so obsessed. I just wanted to get home because I wanted to go up to the ranch to go see her. And then when I got home, my dad said there was an accident. I was maybe 16. I'm still pissed about it. He immediately took me to the ranch to go see my horse. She was standing inside her stable with her head all the way down, dragging it side to side. In pain. That same guy, while I was gone, he tried to force her into the bathing stall. Remember, she didn't like him. He tried to force her in there, again with her head forced down so he could touch her face whenever he wants. You know what she did? She reared up at the entry to the stall. It's metal. And when she came back down, because then all the guys were around her, they were hitting her. She landed on the edge of the bathing stall. It impaled her chest. It ripped her open from shoulder to shoulder. She was pregnant. She was pregnant. Are you that horse? She didn't die. She didn't miscarry the baby, so those are good things. Um, she never again let anyone touch her face except me. She would bury her face in my chest. She would drape her head over my shoulder and just squeeze me tight against her chest. She didn't want anyone to touch her after that. So, because none of the other trainers um, were willing to train her anymore after that, um, my father sold her before she gave birth. He sold her. But see, she's a thoroughbred. They're hard headed. Most other horses, they're trained, meaning broken. Um, they'll do what you teach them to do. They'll live in a mental prison. So then, digressing back to that visual image of something I saw years ago, a horse with its lead wrapped around a twig, acting as though it's been chained, not going anywhere. Are you that type of horse? Because horses are highly empathic. They're very sensitive to your energy, to your emotion, whatever emotional state you're in, your mental health. Horses are very, very in tune with that. Very in tune. Which horse are you? I would say I'm just like that horse that was mine for a little while. I'd rather die than let some caca energy shithead touch my face and dirty my identity. Your face is your identity. It's a part of you that you present to the world. It is how you are recognized by other people. That's why I understood why her face should not be touched. But I'm not a horse trainer. They had told my father something along the lines of, that's a bad habit and it makes her think she's in control. I tell you, that trainer never was allowed near her again, even after she was sold. You have to think, which one are you? How far are you willing to go to retain your identity, to retain your sovereignty? Let me see. I'm willing to go all the way. I will not allow someone to subjugate me. Those are not words. I'm not talking big and bad. I don't give a shit who I have to stand up to. You are not going to tell me what to do. If you ask me and you reason with me, you don't have to beg me. I'm talking about conversation. Give me a rational explanation as to why I should comply with your request, why my compliance is absolutely necessary. If it resonates, I'll comply. I will help out. I'll even fucking volunteer. If it doesn't make sense, no. Does that mean I'm just hard headed? I know who I'm safe with. I have no problem publicly stating that if I want to, I'm very submissive with my husband. Yeah. That doesn't make me a weak woman. When you choose who you're willing to submit to, if it's someone that's made you feel safe, safe enough to the degree that you could heal yourself and then find the courage to begin healing the wounds from previous lives, I don't see what's wrong with submitting. Have they ever tried to dominate you, anyways? To me, in that situation, it's basically my submission is more like, that's my way of telling you I love you and trust you immensely. that I don't have to fear what you will do if you have control over me, right? I was asking my husband, "Do you want to be in my book?" He goes, "You want to write about me in your book?" I was like, "Do you want to be in my book?" And he goes, "How much you going to pay me for a licensing fee?" I was like, "What the you need me to pay you to license your likeness and image?" He was cracking up. He was cracking up. You have to understand these people in your life, even the ones who try and subjugate you, it's being done for a reason to present you an opportunity to decide which type of empath will you be. The one that harnesses their power to fight against the very thing that's trying to oppress you just because it can? Or are you simply going to be like, this is too much, this is too hard, you're too pushy, let me just give you what you want? Mm-mm. Narcissists don't like me. They don't like me. They can't control me. They can't. And they realize I can see through their bullshit. And they don't know what I'll do with the information. Their bullshit starts to crumble. I once had a narcissist go to another person. Like, these two people were having an argument that did not fucking involve me at all. I'm over here living my own life and no involvement whatsoever. And the next thing you know, person number one messages me and saying, person number two is saying that you stole blah, blah, blah money, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah. And I said, okay. I told person number one, you let person number two know I'm willing to pay for a financial forensic specialist. Let me know when I need to start this process. Because we're going to see exactly where the fuck that money went. Don't involve me if you don't want the truth to come out. And then person number one is like, you're crazy. You're going to get a financial forensic analyst? Fuck yeah. You know that those exist, right? Those exist. As a matter of fact, I know one. I'll pay them. Oh, that conversation ended real quick. It ended real quick. Why? I'm not afraid to confront the truth, whether it's a truth from this life or a truth from a previous life. It's taken me my entire life to get to that point of courage. Whatever comes forth, that is what I will have to process. I don't believe in good or evil. I don't. I believe that there are mindsets that cause actions and decisions that are intended to be evil. Good and evil has more to do with the intent than it does with the actuality of what's happening. Collaborative dreaming in reverse. What's being asked to come to fruition, what you are being asked to allow to come to fruition. It's not about other people's dreams, it's about your own. Bringing that into full fruition. Allowing yourself to truly receive all of the things that come with this dream. And I have a theory that our dreams really are just kind of like little post-it notes that our soul leaves us to remind us, like, hey, by the way, there's still this project coming up, there's still that event that you need to be a part of. No rush, just kind of quick reminder. Dreams are post-it notes. That's my theory. because your soul already pre-planned quite a bit. There are very specific events that you have no choice but to experience and be a part of. No, Emmy, what about free will? Okay, you get to pick what you wear. You get to pick what time you arrive, what car you'll use, who'll be there with you, the conversation you have before you arrive, conversation you have while you're there. You get to choose that, but you don't get to choose to avoid the actual event. That's still free will. It's still free will. So your soul is reminding you that there are certain things that it would like for you to have in the very near future. And I think for many of us, some of those things involve financial stability. Let it, let it at this point. Because really, those of you who are like, oh, but I don't know, it feels so selfish. How old are you? I'm so serious. How old are you? Are you like 5? Are you older than 5 years old? Completely serious right now. Are you older than 5 years old? Because your personality is pretty much set by the time you're 5, barring an extreme trauma or extreme prolonged effort. Your personality ain't going to change, boo. That's who you are. And everything that you experience in life from that point forward just further cements who you are at the age of 5. If you've spent your entire life being so worried about everyone else having enough and foregoing things for yourself so other people can be a little bit more comfortable, I promise you, the money's not going to change you. If it wasn't part of your character from the time you were 5, it's not going to suddenly be a part of your character now. I used to be very averse to money. I actually prefer poverty for most of my life. Why? Well, because I was afraid that the money would change me and make me very greedy and just inconsiderate and all of these different things, that I would suddenly become someone who would have no problem scamming people and this and that. And so even though I had the capacity to earn money, I often would give it away. I know. That's one hell of a trauma response. Like, what the fuck, girl? That's one hell of a trauma response. I was so deathly afraid of what would happen to me and my integrity if I had any type of money. So deathly afraid. Turns out I'm pretty much stuck being the person I am at this point. I just, this is me. Surprise. Not going to be changing. Oh, and it also turns out it doesn't matter how much money I have, I will still want to help. And I will still not be greedy. Yeah, apparently. Apparently. So now that I realize that about myself, like I'm too fucking old to be changing who I am. I mean, again, short of extreme trauma or prolonged effort to change. Yeah, no. This is who I am, attitude and all. Even by the time I'm like 110 years old, I'm gonna still be a sassy ass little thing. Like, fuck you. I can already see it. It's just like, fuck you. I don't want to do that. I will not eat applesauce. Yeah. Hmm. Yep. That they'll be a smart ass and all of that. So stop being afraid of allowing yourself to finally receive. You need to go beyond the normal. And what is the normal? Existing in a space of depletion, existing in a chosen state of varying degrees of poverty. You know, I don't think there's anything wrong with having a limited budget because all of us have limits in our budget. But I do think there is something very intrinsically, fundamentally wrong with choosing to force yourself to suffer to prove that you are a good person. Because honestly, if people can't see that about you already, they're not interested in seeing it. suffering is not going to make them see something they're not interested in seeing. I hate to be harsh, but that's the reality of how people function. If they were not open to it in the first place, you're not going to force them to be open to it. And trying to force them to is only going to make them double down on it. Think of the last time someone tried to force you to do something you didn't want. You found even more excuses not to do it, right? Right? So, like, if I want my kids to do something they don't want to do, like some type of chore or something, I'm not going to try and further talk them into it and try and reason or any of that. I'm going to remind them this is not something optional. This is one of the tasks that is part of your chores. So you get to decide whether you're going to take 5 minutes to fix your face. No, I'm joking. I don't talk to my kids like that. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to decide whether I'm going to give you the option of taking 5 minutes to decide how to process your feelings before you do it, or you can go and do it right now. And I rarely have to even say that kind of stuff to my kid. Is like, there are certain things I'm not asking your permission. I'm reminding you of your duty. Okay. You want to piss your kid off, you say, I'm going to give you 5 minutes to fix your face. Are they like, why's your face like that? What's wrong? What do you mean, what's wrong? Because why is your face like that? Ah, you know, I was at the gym earlier and one of my kids, my mini me, one of my kids went over to his dad who was doing cable rows and he was lifting the entire stack. It's 200 pounds for that stack. And then I walk over there and my kid says to me, bet you can't do that, Mom. Record me. I fucking joke it. Record me. And so I'm about to start and he goes, put the extra 5 pound. He had me add the 2 5-pound thingies that you could, so an extra 10 pounds. It was 210 pounds. I was like, I got this shit. Ooh, y'all. Mm-hmm. You think I couldn't just because I got extra fluffy recently? Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. Okay. Y'all, don't fucking play. Okay? And I didn't just do it once. I did it 12 fucking times. And then this is how I looked when he ended the recording. Don't ever fucking ask if your mom can do something because you know damn well she can. Look at that face. Am I playing with you, kid? Yeah. So when I tell you guys, I've been ridiculous all day, literally, since I woke up. I've been fucking ridiculous. Trust yourself. Trust yourself. There will be people who don't believe you can do what you know you can do. I don't even take protein shit. I need to start again, but and that was after I was done with my like 2-hour workout and then I began training my kids. Okay. I was already exhausted. I know what I can do. I know what I can do. I don't typically lift that. I don't. But I know I can. I know that I can. I reduced the weight quite a few months ago. So the only question there was, has my body forgotten how to move with this type of weight? If you haven't done something in quite some time, that's the only question. Does my body remember? It's not can you? It's how much before my body remembers, before the very cells that compose my body and existence. How much time does it need to remember? You got to trust yourself. It's never going to remember if you are so caught up on the question of, can I do it? You won't do it if you don't start. You won't do it if you don't try. So I approached that with something in my head. It's I can do it, but I'm fucking tired. So we gotta try one. We'll try one. And if it doesn't feel like I'm gonna injure myself, then we just keep going until it feels like we're gonna injure ourselves, and then we're gonna stop. Right? Right. So I started my plan, and then I went through my plan. Now, earlier I did injure myself slightly. I don't know what happened. I pulled my calf doing bench press. I'm not sure what happened. I don't know if I clenched my ass really hard or something as I was laying there to bench press, but I did. My calf is sore. It's sore. So I had to stop. But even with my calf sore, I know I could do that. I know I could take that whole stack plus add the extra weights. That's fine. That's fine. I know what I can handle. And if I'm in the right mindset, that aligns everything. The memory and the current gets aligned, and that's formidable. Think of all the things you've been through. How much have you forgotten about your experiences? Because your experiences are directly related to your capacity. For example, you've lived in an environment for a very long time where you were in direct contact with a narcissist. Depending on the severity of their narcissism, that's a really fucked situation. Not even joking. That can alter not just the function of your brain, but the physical form of it. So that's that. Depending on how their narcissism shows up, that could be a really bad thing for you. So you've lived with a narcissist for a very long time, and they have made it habit to consistently berate you for everything, right? They're consistently very oppositional to you and your efforts, and there's never a kind word. They're always pointing out the ways you're fucking up. So, okay, it is what it is, right? You resolve that circumstance. Maybe you move out, maybe you break up. I don't know what the situation is. Could be a parent, could be a partner, could be a friend. I don't know. But long story short, they no longer have access to you. You've been through all of that. All of that already happened. It's not going to help you to forget what you've lived through. Just like it won't help you to remain in that same space and obsess day in and day out about what you've lived through. And awareness is all you need. Awareness is all you need. So you're now faced with a project for work, and your boss berating you, berating you, berating you. You have two choices. You can allow that behavior to trigger you to return back to that same space of when a narcissist had access to you and was heavily damaging your perception of yourself. and then be broken by it. Or you can allow that to trigger you to return to the space where the narcissist you've already gotten rid of was doing that to you to try and break you. And not only did they not break you and you remain broken, you continued forward and continued to live. So at that point, because obviously I'm choosing the second, I would be like, you're funny. Um, so first off, correct your tone in the way you're approaching me. Okay. I would need you to please make the adjustment so that way you can communicate to me on a professional level what your expectation of me within this project is. I need to know the deadlines of when this needs to be done, and I need to know the specific parameters you want me to operate within. You're not going to fucking intimidate me. I've dealt with people like you, they couldn't break me. That's how I approach life. If people want to say mean shit to me, babe, I've heard worse at a very young age. I don't give a shit what you think. You want to say this, and that? Go right ahead. What's that got to do with me? See, I look at my life and I see the ways in which all the hardship and difficulty and intentionally created circumstance that was meant to break me and my spirit. I see that as boot camp. I see that as boot camp. You're not going to hurt my feelings, babe. You're just not. Because everything that someone says that's intended to be hurtful, if it elicits some type of emotion from me, first and foremost, you're not going to see that. Secondly, I'm going to assess, why did I feel that? Where does that live in my body? Do I need to reassess that? Is that wound actually properly addressed? Or did I simply band-aid it and now it's festering? I take that as an opportunity to love on myself even more. Even more. You see, you have no power over me. If I don't give you power, you have no power. It's not about avoidance either. It's about recognizing you are playing a part in my process. The only part you play is to trigger my awareness of what I need to be aware of about myself, my life, my journey. You are dismissed. Take your toxic shit somewhere else. You are dismissed. Thank you for your contribution. You will not be allowed to witness the end result. Because really, when someone has a capacity to use their toxicity to try and intentionally hurt you, it does not matter to me that my soul recruited you to trigger me in this way. You are not absolved of what you did. I won't hold a grudge, but I also won't forget this is a part of your character. And people like that, people like you're not welcome in my life. See, you could be like, but Emmy, your soul invited them. Yes, my soul invited them because my soul recognized they were a shitty person to begin with, and that they would do that to me despite seeing the way my heart is. I've lost my apology for having some degree of emotional intelligence. There's no point in emotional intelligence if, oh, testing. Is it working now? Testing, testing. Testing. There it is. She feels. She knows. You can feel it. You can feel what this past life, now present, means for you. It means you are being baptized through the flame. And all of this is because of you and your choices. You're being prepared for a greatness that you have always been worthy of, that you were custom calibrated by Creator to fulfill. Look at this. Power of attraction. This is the twin flame card, right? It's twin flames. Yeah. You don't even need that. Your life, your success, your ascent is no longer contingent on anyone outside of you. This is about your full power coming back to you. I would say with those type of details, that means there's absolutely nothing you have to be afraid of. And even with knowing that, you might still have a little bit of hesitation, a little bit of fear. That's understandable, but never allow that to cripple you to the degree that you can't and won't rise back to your rightful place. It's time. We've been saying it's time. Now it's actually time. So I'll be live at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to do expedites. If you would like me to work on you, scan you, do readings, etheric medicine, simply go to this link or the QR code on the screen, and that will take you exactly where you need to go and give you the information that you need. And then that's it. Oh, I do have the morphogenetic fundamentals workshop. Oh, what is happening? I do have the morphogenetic fundamentals workshop coming up. This is coming up soon. If you missed all the other times that I've had this workshop and you've been waiting for it to come around again, it's time. I'm going to be teaching the fundamentals of aura spectra bioregenesis. My system is called Kokoro 33. I came into this life just knowing what to do with that system. I wasn't taught. This is not something you can find in a book or somewhere online. It's based off of my memories that are intact. So if you'd like to partake, just click on this link or the QR code, and I will see you guys again very soon.